With all team sports on the shelf for the foreseeable future, horse racing is once again taking center stage. And a key prep race ahead of the Kentucky Derby takes place this weekend in Miami. The Florida Derby has a full field of a dozen horses, and Tiz the Law is the heavy favorite going in. But it is worth noting that only one favorite has taken the race in the last decade. Since the first running of the Florida Derby in 1952, 15 horses have won the mile and an 8th prep for the Kentucky Derby and gone on to win the Run for the Roses in Louisville. Last year, Maximum Security won the Florida Derby and was the first to cross the line at the Kentucky Derby, but was disqualified. There are the early lines. Ezzy Indiana and Independence Hall are also among the favorites. Tiz the Law should win this race more than 50% of the time, and therefore even money means the value is on the favorite. Well, for more on perhaps the biggest sporting event of the weekend, let's bring in Sportsline's Tim Doyle, who in addition to his college hoop duties is quite the horse player as well. Tim, you're usually in fine form at night. I didn't expect you to be in such fine form in the morning. I'm loving the hat look. Let's start with Tiz the Law, which is the morning line favorite. Coming off a big win in the Holy Bull, when you look at this 3-year-old, do you see a classic Kentucky Derby type contender here?
You know, here's the deal with going to the racetrack, all right? You either got dressed to impress. If you're going to be down in South Florida, well, first of all, you can't go to the races because no one will be at the track because of what's going on right now with the coronavirus. But when they open up the gates again, you either got to be dressed to impress or you got to go Hawaii shirt. All right, but to answer your question, my Hawaii shirt is in the wash, so I couldn't wear that. But Tiz the Law right now is a legit Derby contender. But the problem is, the Derby's not going to run for nearly 6 more months. Now, if you don't know this, every horse has the same birthday, that being January 1. So the horses that are on the Triple Crown Trail are newly minted 3-year-old. Doesn't mean they're all born at the same time. So you got horses that mature early, horses that mature late. But this is Tiz the Law in the Champagne Stakes. This is when he was 2 years old. And then bounced back. It was outstanding in the Holy Bull, where basically he was driven like a car. Manny Franco moved him inside, outside, took him wide, and he won for fun. Did not run in the Fountain of Youth. Etienne Indian did, who he beat in the Holy Bull, and he jogged in that race. So you got some horses that have gone up against one another, but I think it's so hard to predict now who's going to be the best horse 6 months from now.
Tiz the Law, part of a field of a dozen horses for the Florida Derby. And as we put up the morning line odds, Tim, show me where the value is. And after that, I mean, using a $100 budget, that's pretty much what my producer is willing to bet. Give me the best bets for this race, whether it be straight up plays or exotics.
Well, I think you mentioned before how the favorite has had a really tough time in the Florida Derby. So I'm going to look for value outside of Tiz the Law, and I'm going to go to As Seen on TV. Now, didn't run a great third in the Fountain of Youth, but I think he's going to have fantastic post position, breaking from the rail. You got Paco Lopez riding for Kelly Breen. Obviously, those connections have won a ton, but I have my doubts about Etienne Indian breaking from the outside. Tiz the Law. If he was what he was in the Holy Bull, I do think he's going to be tough to beat. So I'm going to throw him in the exacta box with As Seen on TV. And then I'm going to have the 5 horse with a Todd Pletcher horse. Obviously, Todd Pletcher has won this race a bunch of times. So let's throw him in the mix. But guys, I'm going to take a shot. Try to beat the favorite. As Seen on TV, when I watched his last race, it looked like he was more comfortable running from the outside. So even though he's going to break from that rail and save ground, if I'm the jockey, which I'm not, I'm 6'6" and 240 pounds, so I'm not a jockey. But if I was, I would move him to the outside and get him going from the outside. Looked like he ran better once he got away from the rail.
Tim, you throw out some pretty interesting combos, one that can make us some cash. And cash is plenty because when you look at some handles from around the country, betting pools are on the upswing. Why is that?
You know, I actually bet on a baby race on my block. We just took 2 babies, we put them in the middle of the street, and we put like some milk out there, and they just ran. And I actually lost, but I needed that thrill. We all need the thrill right now, and there's nothing going on. That's all betting is, whether it's sports betting or horse betting. You gotta get that action going, and there is no action except for in the world of horse racing. I mentioned it before. They're running these races with no fans in the stands, but yet the pools are enormous. Actually, they're going to pay out a mandatory pick 6 this Saturday, which means you got to pick all 6 winners of 6 consecutive races. They can use multiple combinations, but that pool could be 4, could be $5 million. So it's going to be paid out to all the winners. That's going to be mandatory this weekend down at Gulfstream. But the pools have been up and my bank account has been down. So let's just say the relationship with the wife right now is not going so well.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.